Welcome to Jimmy Bowen and Friends. Each week's episode features Jimmy Bowen and a special guest like John Ford Coley, Jamie O'Neill, Bobby Osborne, and more. Today's guest is Tim Lovelace. Now, here's Jimmy Bowen.
It's a dirty job, but the money's clean. We breathe rock dust to make lawn green. 5 generations have went down in the hole in the ground. Deep in a hill, dark as a tomb. Many men have met their doom. They know the risk, but still go down in the hole in the ground. The hole in the ground, digging like a mole in the hole in the ground. The sun's gonna shine when I get out of this hole in the ground. Does what he has to do when the choices are so few. He has to grub up and out of a hole in the ground. Before I take my dying breath, make sure when I go to rest, they put me anywhere but down in another hole in the ground. Hole in the ground, digging like a mole in the hole in the ground. The sun's gonna shine when I get out of this hole in the ground. Hole in the ground, digging like a mole in the hole in the ground. The sun's gonna shine when I get out of this hole in the ground.
Well, welcome to the show. We have got an exciting night. I have a gentleman tonight as a guest, Mr. Tim Lovelace. Comedian, writer, singer, songwriter, musician. He is a funny man, and we are looking so forward to him on the show tonight, and we think you're going to enjoy him. We're going to take a little pause here, and we will be right back with Mr. Tim.
There's more Jimmy Bowen and Friends coming up right after this short break. Welcome back to Jimmy Bowen and Friends.
Welcome back to the show. Our guest tonight is a very funny man, very talented man, musician, writer, you name it. He does it all. Make welcome Mr. Tim Lovelace to the stage.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you having me.
I'm glad you could make it to the show.
Glad to be
This is
here.
gonna be fun. When you first showed up tonight, And I told you about
And you
that.
called security.
And I called security,
Okay,
but
no.
then they didn't, right.
Okay.
But that instance with the Gaithers, that
Fourth man in the fire. You're
is
talking about that.
hilarious.
Yeah, well, just about anything that I'm a part of, I mess something up. You know what I mean? But if ignorance is free, I loaded up on it, so I just have a great time. But I've been loving this taping here, and I know some will be different episodes, but the artist you got a great show. And I personally want to say, Jimmy, not only are you kind, but I love having a live band. Give it up one time for these guys, man.
They are good guys.
Awesome.
They
You got a great crew here.
Yeah, they're fun to be with and fun to travel.
Yeah.
Well, you got to tell us.
Okay.
You got to tell us, how in the world did you become a comedian? How did you fall on that?
I was just I checked my IQ, and average is about 120. Mine was 40, so I knew I only had two choices in life. It was comedy or Congress. That was it for me. So, but seriously, I was always kind of a class clown. When they actually study a lot of comedians, they find out a lot of them were introverts as kids. And I was really kind of a quiet kid, but you find out when you say something a little silly or make a face, people laugh, the pressure was off. So a lot of class clowns were actually very quiet. And then they just end up, it's a calling. Then once you're the class clown, you got to do all through high school, college, and the rest of your life.
I picked out a song for you to do called Living in a Coffee World.
Okay.
So explain that.
Well, who knows at this point? It's actually a song that is about the craziness of today. When I was growing up, it was one kind of coffee. It was good to the last drop. And my parents had a percolator way before Keurig's. Keurig is a percolator on steroids. But I decided to do a song because I go in to get coffee, just black coffee. And they want to sell me all this stuff, and they look at me crazy. I want coffee in my coffee. And I was out there in Seattle where they started all this stuff, and the guy wanted me to try a specialty drink, and he gave me the idea for this song. Because today you basically need a dictionary and a lot of money to buy a coffee. So that's the idea, the crux behind it.
Okay. I'm going to let you just do it then.
You just go right ahead.
Have fun.
You know what? The next time I'm around, I'll pay you to come to my concert because I'd like for you to be on the front row. You're a good audience.
Well, I appreciate that. And you're a great guest. Do your song. I'm looking forward to it. Mr. Tom Lovelace, please.
Thank you, buddy. My feet were dragging, I was foggy-headed, eyelids sagging when I stopped by a brand new coffee shop right down the road. I walked in and the guy said, "I'll be your barista." I said, "No, thank you, but would you help me, please, sir, by making me a real strong cup of joe?" Well, he pointed to a board and said, "What'll it be?" When I saw a bunch of words look foreign to me, and I knew I'd bit off more than I could swallow. There was espresso, Romano, and mocha latte, cappuccino, and cinnamon dolce, coconut and almond milk for something called a macchiato. Well, he saw me stare and he knew I was confused. He said, "Mister, I have the drink for you. The freight train espresso, that's my specialty." He said, "It's got a lot of kick, but it'd be no trouble. If you're man enough, I'll make you a double." I said, "Fire that machine up, make a triple for me." Well, it was a little bitty cup, so I turned it up and I was finishing a couple of sips. Then my face started twitching, my scalp started itching, lost a feeling in my lower lip. Then my eyes flew open like saucers and my heart started racing like a stallion. I jumped up, knocked over somebody's computer and yelled, "I should have learned Italian." It's a coffee world we're living in today, and you need to be bilingual to know the right words to say. Your head will be spinning like you're walking on the tilt of world. You gotta know that caffeine lingo when you're living in a coffee world. Well, I drove home, scalded my tires, not saying I was speeding, but a cheetah on fire would have never had a chance of catching up with me. I painted the house, cleaned the garage up nice. I raked the yard and mowed it twice. Then I heard my wife call the coffee shop and ask, do you make deliveries? It's a coffee world we're living in today. And you need to be bilingual to know the right words to say. Your head will be spinning like you're walking on a zilch world. You gotta know that caffeine lingo when you're living in a coffee world. You gotta know that caffeine lingo when you're living in a coffee world. I think the next time I'm gonna get a venti caramel macchiato with soy milk after I cash in my 401k. Yeah, guys.
Don't go away. Jimmy Bowen and Friends will be right back. Welcome back to Jimmy Bowen and Friends.
Now is your chance. Entertain them.
You want me to lay a little craziness
lay
right here?
some craziness.
All right.
I want to hear some craziness.
I will do it. Okay.
All right.
See you, cousin. And I was mentioning that I have 2 daughters. When my oldest daughter, when she was about 10, several years back now, she was interested in taking gymnastics. Actually, it was an exercise program. And so she and her little sister were talking about it some, and so I thought, well, let me go check it out. So I made an appointment. My wife and I went over there, and I love true stories, by the way. I just love real life. And I went over there and made an appointment, and 2 or 3 other couples, and the guy straight out of college was giving a tour, and it was a huge gymnasium full of kids and instructors. And he said, before I started, are there any questions? And I said, how much does it cost? That's a man question right there. He said, $80. I said, a year? He said, no, a month. I said, but this is not gymnastics. He said, no, just exercise. I said, how much? How long does it last? He said, about 30 minutes. I said, every day? He said, no, about once a week. I said, so that's $80 for 2 little girls to jump up and down for one month? He said, true. $80 per child. I didn't have any paper. I did the math in my head, Jimmy. That's $150 right there. I said, why does it cost so much? He had been taught this. He said, Mr. Lovelace, you don't understand. Your generation, people older than you were not in good physical condition when you were a child. La-di-da-da-da. We lived outside, didn't we? I'm going to tell you why I lived outside, because my mama said go play, and she locked the back door. That's why I lived outside. Only thing that kept me alive was a green garden hose hooked directly to a lead pipe, and I drank gallons of it. Look at me. I turned out normal. So anyway, back to the gym. I said, what do you mean? We lived outside. He said, look over there. There was a rope, and one little kid at a time would struggle and go up. This is the truth. A little bell, ding. All I heard was $80, ding, $150, ding. That's all I heard. And he looked at me and he said, did you ever climb anything? I said, we climbed everything. We were locked out till the light came on. We climbed water towers, bridges. I mean, when I was a baby, I was climbing out of my lead-painted baby bed. We climbed everything. And he said, well, look over here. And the kids were bouncing on trampolines. And he said, now, Mr. Lovelace, are you going to tell me that you had a trampoline? I said, no, I'm going to tell you that we had a bed when I was growing up, and we jumped on it, and it didn't cost $80. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I had bunk beds that hurt my head, but I jumped anyway. Now, then he looked at me, and he said, Mr. Lovelace, I know of something we have here that your generation didn't have. I thought, la-di-da-da-da. We just rename it and charge $80. But I was still trying to be kind. It kind of sounded like a Shakespearean soliloquy. I said, oh, pray, what forth art thou talking about? He said, we have something here. Get ready for this. This is the truth. We have something here called Tai Chi. I said, Gesundheit. I thought he had a head cold or something, y'all. I didn't know. You know, I'm originally from UCLA, the upper corner of Lower Alabama. I didn't know what he was talking about. And he said, you don't know what Tai Chi is? And I said, well, I didn't have it for breakfast. He said, it's the ancient art form of slow movements of the body. I said, will you demonstrate it? He said, if you promise not to talk to me. I said, that would be my pleasure. And here's what he did. $80. Well, I thought he looked goofy. And then he looked at me and he said, did your generation have something equivalent to Tai Chi? And that's when my wife started praying out loud. And I said, I thought about it a second. I said, yes, we did. He said, really? I said, my people, we had an art form that's almost lost today. He said, seriously? I said, yes. I said, it was poetry in motion. It was beautiful movements of the body correlated with our breathing. He said, will you demonstrate it? I said, if you promise not to talk to me. He said, what did your people call this art form? And I said, my people called it going through a barbed wire fence. How many of y'all went through a barbed wire fence? How many of you ever hit the electric fence? How many of y'all are glad that you made it through on the other side? That's right. All right. Thank you, Jimmy. Woo!
We'll be back with more Jimmy Bowen and Friends in just a moment. Welcome back to Jimmy Bowen and Friends.
Well, welcome back. Have you had fun tonight? I'm telling you, Mr. Tim Lovelace is hilarious. During that first part, I thought I was going to just laugh myself off the stage. He's a funny man. I love having him, and he did a great job. I hope we can have him back on as a guest at another date. Maybe we can do maybe we can go on the road. Tim and I will talk about going on the road together. You know, I'd be his best fan. So that'd be a lot of fun. We're going to end the night here with a song that we recorded. It was written by some great writers with the Little River Band. And we're going to say goodnight to you on this one. Hope to see you on the next round. And one called Road to Her Heart.
Is open again. She had closed it for such a long time. But if you drive downtown, beware. You better take care to obey all the speed zones and signs. So you better slow down. Don't you try to drive now a stronger road. She built it to last, she built it to survive. Because too many liars and fast-moving drivers make the old road impossible to drive. So you better slow down. So you better slow down. drivers. There were heartaches and mistakes, no speed zones, no wrong ways, far too many ruts on that old road. So you better slow down